at the end of this road. That fundamentally changes the North Point Peninsula. North Point Peninsula has about 10,000 people that live on it. You're talking about raising the population of the North Point Peninsula by 3 or more thousand people. That fundamentally changes traffic patterns. It changes the environmental issues down at Fort Howard, and we need to be really careful about what we do down there. Now, part of the process, and we've learned from the process that's occurred at the North Point Government Center in Dundalk, that when there is a lack of communication, a lack of transparency, there is a lack of trust. So as councilman, my job will be to encourage and facilitate meetings early and often with that developer so that the community is heard loud and clear, so we don't get into a situation like we have gotten into with the North Point Government Center, where there is a lack of trust engendered into the process, and that the community is going to be against anything that's foisted upon them without their input. So I want to make sure that the lines of communication are open. I want to make sure that we move forward at Fort Howard in a way that addresses these concerns of a lack of focus for veterans and the sheer size of the project that fundamentally changes the peninsula. Thank you.
Read your question again.
Sure.
Do you foresee as the future of the Fort Howard property, given that the developer is proposing the development of 1,473 residents, how do you feel about that number?
Okay. 1,400, 800, whatever, we don't know what it's going to be. I haven't talked to any developer in the time since I filed to run for this office. The veterans of this United States have been treated pretty terribly. Would you agree? All you have to do is turn the TV on and you see what's happened to our veterans. So my proposal there, and it's not going to be my proposal, it's going to be our proposal, from the very beginning, sitting down with the developer. Each and every one of you who are involved want to be involved. And we want to create something there that we can be proud of, that helps our veterans live in dignity when they come back bruised and battered with limbs missing and psychological issues. And it's not just going to be about housing, it's going to be about medical centers, assisted living, multi-generational housing, maybe where you have an old veteran who can live with their son or daughter and their family on this property and be taken care of. And as they get older and as they grow, we keep that respect. I work a lot with veterans groups, not only here, but in Washington at Arlington Cemetery. I've seen the grief on families when a dead body comes home from overseas. And I've seen the veterans who hobble around trying to make it in this world different from when they went away. And we need to put a place down there where when people think about veterans, the first thing they think about is Fort Howard. A place that the United States can be proud of, that the state of Maryland and Baltimore County can be proud of, but also each and every one of you can be proud of. So that when people say, where do you live? Well, I live right up the street from Fort Howard. It's a great place. And it's not something that's half-baked. You know, that's a historic site. And those houses and those buildings are falling into decay. And we all know what happens when a building sits unused for a period of time. It just gets worse and worse and worse. So when we go and sit down with whoever this developer is going to be, and if it's going to be developed, because I haven't heard anything in a long, long time about this, I'll assure you that each and every one of you will have a seat at the table, and I will listen to each and every one of you. I do it all the time over in Essex and back in Burnett. I've done it my whole life. It's not about me, it's about you. It's about what you think should be there, supported by the county government and the rest of the council and the county executive, and all the way up to Dutch Rugersberger. So when this thing comes up, I want you there. Not as me over top of you, but as an equal, side by side, listening to your thoughts and your suggestions. But we have to do something with it, because if it goes too far, it's going to fall into the Patapsco River, and then there's not going to be any option of saving any of those buildings. So with your help, and with the help of the Veterans Administration, the county, state, and federal government, we'll work together to create something that when people think of this part of Baltimore County, they think of the absolutely wonderful facility that respects what people who put their lives on the line, so we can stand right here and say what I'm saying right now. That's what it's all about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Good answers.
Thank you.
I'm not running for anything, but I think personally I should be a convalescent home for them veterans.
Well, it'll be that also.
What is your position on the governance center? I know there's been a great controversy there, and nobody seems to get a real good straight answer from it. Maybe you guys can enlighten us a little bit.
Okay. When I filed to run, the government center and the plans for that property were sort of underway already. They were already being discussed. And after examining drawings and everything else, I saw things that I didn't like about it. But I'll go back to the previous answer that I gave about Fort Howard. The biggest mistake that was made is that people from each of the community groups were not consulted collectively to get their feedback on what's to be done there. Now we move down the road. Do I like the project? No. I signed a petition that I didn't like it. Do I like the design? No. Why? Because it puts a road that comes right through the Grange schoolyard and continues all the way around to the commercial district, part of that property. But here's what I can assure you. The county council, including 2 Republicans, voted unanimously on July the 7th to go through with the project. Now, there may be some things that can be done. I don't know what that is. The only thing that I understand that has to happen is it goes through the administrative law judge, and if there's not something substantial that they can point to, the project moves forward. If it's true, it's a done deal. If it's not true, let's work to improve things. But the other thing is, we had Sky's the Limit. That building has a lot of emotional ties to me. I taught school in that building from 1974 to 80. I produced 6 shows on that stage where Sky's the Limit does their performances to help the handicap also engage. My boys, my son Tony, who's running my campaign, and his little brother Mike, started their police careers in that building. So this is not just a building for me. This is a place where I worked, they worked, cornerstone in the community. Do we need another gas station on the corner there? I don't think so. But again, that's not in my purview right now. It will be in my purview when I'm elected to the council, to have some influence with the developer. So what I pledge to you is what I've been pledging to you all along. I will continue to listen to what you have to say. I will do the best that I can because I'm not the councilman. And with your help, we'll get the best deal we can. And guess what? When they build that community building, if that community building does not meet the needs of the rec side of the equation there, and the sky's the limit, then I want something better somewhere else. Okay, we talked about the ball fields. I don't want just ball fields, I want a whole complex that they have out in Chase, or they have in Eastern Regional Park. I don't want just any old kind of stage like this for there's people to perform on. I want a performing arts center. Well, people can learn a craft. That's what I did. For those of you who don't know, I'm a trained singer. And I've performed all over the world, actually, but mostly here in Baltimore. In church, on the lyric stage, at the arena, all over the place. That's a job. It's not a hobby, it's a job. So if we can train our young people who are leading in that direction and have a performing arts center, just think, we give them a leg up to do what I did, to help raise my family through the arts, as well as through corporate America and small business. and economic development and community